If you're no longer with the other parent of your child or children, it can be very difficult sometimes figuring out how we're going to communicate about things. And I think one of the best tips I could give you for how you can effectively communicate would be assume the best. Don't assume negative influences are getting in that person's mind. Don't assume that they've got negative intentions toward you. Even if maybe they do, try to start with the assumption that, you know what, they're a parent, they love my children just like I love my children, they want what's in the child's best interest. Even if we disagree about what their best interest is, we both can agree we love these kids and we need to work together to find a solution for whatever we're dealing with. So one of the best tips I could give you for how we can effectively communicate with the other parent is to assume best intentions. Don't think automatically they have negative intentions. Start out with the assumption that you both are wanting the best for your children. And when you do that, you'll find that you're probably able to communicate more effectively. Even though you won't always agree, you can at least agree that we both want to do what's in our best interest. And then in the end, you both may be willing to do something differently than either one of you had planned to do at first, because you work together to find a solution that's best for your children when it may not be best for everybody else, but it works for your family. Although it may seem like it'll be just quicker and easier to talk on the phone or to text with somebody or maybe even Facebook message someone, when you're dealing with parenting, there are certain parenting apps you can use. There are several of those. Some have free versions or paid versions. Some are totally free with ads. There's all kinds of different ones you could use. But the courts like for people to use co-parenting communication apps, because that is not only a way where you can have a calendar that's shared, you both can add things to, so you always know if a doctor's appointment's coming up, or maybe there's a school activity, or maybe a ball game coming up. You can have those on the calendar that both parents have access to, but also all the communication there can be recorded easily. You can make sure that things aren't deleted. You have a transcript that's printable and can be used in court. And even sometimes if maybe, for instance, there's a protection order in place and you and your former spouse or the child's other parent can't talk to one another directly or even call each other from your phones, but your children are supposed to have video calls with that other parent twice a week or something. Many of these apps even have functions within the app where you can do video calls, and even those video calls are going to be recorded and kept in case you need it for court later on. So communication apps between parents can be a very good tool to use if texting or simply calling each other is not going to work for you. Most people lived at some point with their child's other parent. Maybe it's in a marriage, maybe it's they lived together but weren't married, either before or after the child was born. Most parents lived together at some point in the past. And when you live in the home with somebody, you have kind of constant access to each other, and there's not a lot of boundaries because you see each other in the bathroom, you see each other at the dinner table, you see each other sitting on the couch, eating chips, watching television, you see each other all the time. But when you're no longer living in the same home with each other, it's very important as a tool to help you effectively co-parent that you set certain boundaries. If you don't want that parent walking into your kitchen door at your house without notifying you they're coming over, because you may be dating somebody or you may be walking around your house naked. I don't know what your situation is, but you may not want them having open access to your house. You need to set that as a clear boundary in advance. If you don't want people calling you after 8 p.m., when you live together, they can talk to you 24/7. But if you don't want them calling you after a certain time, set a boundary. One of the best tools to be able to show that now we're not together, but we can still co-parent well, is to show respect for one another. And if you let them know what your boundaries are and they respect those boundaries, I believe that will help you appreciate them as a co-parent even more, maybe, than when you lived together and hated each other. So setting boundaries is going to be a very effective tool that you can use in learning how to co-parent in a way that's good for your children. You probably feel like your ex is just trying to be a real jerk when they don't want to cooperate with you. They don't want to do what you want to do with the kids. And it may be true. Sometimes they may not want the children to play baseball just because you want the children to play baseball. But if you step back and look at the situation, maybe they don't want the kids to play baseball because it's going to interfere with the night, every night they're used to having the children to go to dinner or something like that. We all have different reasons for why we do or don't want our children to do certain things. But the truth is, sometimes they want to be difficult just for the sake of being difficult. Because if they can do something to get you, they want to do it. How do you deal with that as a parent? So if you will tell yourself, you know what, I don't care how they respond to me. I don't care what they're going to act like. I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to treat them with respect, even if they don't deserve it, and even if they don't give it to me. That helps your children to see you as the responsible parent who's willing to put little hurts aside, be willing to stand up against all the pettiness, and be able to look out for your kids' best interest. That's going to make you a parent that stands out above all the other parents in your little friend group. When you are willing to deal with difficult people, especially if it's the other parent of your children, that lets people see you as the adult in the situation. You know, we all think about people who are going to be the adult in the room. You can be the adult in the room, even if you're other parent of your children is intentionally difficult to you, I know that makes it hard, but you can get over it. You can work through it. If you decide, you know what, I'm going to be the bigger person and I'm going to take responsible steps for my children's best interest, no matter what the other parent does. And look, there may come a time you even have to file in court because of the things they're doing. If you do, at least you've behaved appropriately and the court is going to give you credit for what you've done and then look more unfavorably on them because when you were doing right, they were doing wrong. Don't let them pull you into their pettiness. Stand up for what's right, but always try to be respectful no matter how they treat you. Out of all the advice I could give someone about how to effectively communicate with a co-parent, it's this. Listen, assume best intentions, and make sure that above all, you treat each other with respect. Even if they don't give it back to you, give it to them. You're going to be the bigger person. You'll be glad you did, and your children will appreciate you in the end.